What's up? Welcome in on this hump day, April 8th, 2026, middle of your week, the day before the Masters, a couple weeks out from playoffs on the hardwood, on the ice, baseball in full swing, the NFL draft is around the corner. There's not a shortage of things to talk about, and that's good, because when you work in the content business, I will steal this from the legend, from the GOAT, Jim Rome. We're always on team content here, and there's no shortage of it going around anywhere right now. We got plenty to talk about tonight. A lot of baseball on tonight's show as we go around the diamond, kind of catch everybody up with what's been going on, what we think about certain things, like what the hell is wrong with the Detroit Tigers right now, amongst some other things. We've got a couple of headlines that we'll pack through and move through, if you will. We got some NBA action going on tonight, if you want to call it that. I mean, we talked about this last night, Mac, and there's been the thing that's been floating around social all day today is the failed strategy by the Sacramento Kings last night against the Warriors, where they were fouling Seth Curry when they were up by 1 point with 3 minutes left to go in the game. They've pivoted, the Kings have today, and said it was a strategical error, not intentionally trying to tank. I'm going to go ahead and just see myself out of this conversation because I know what it looked like, but I also, there is a strategical advantage to that. I just think when you're a team that's been god-awful and butt-ugly all year, probably not the strategy you want to try with most of the country watching that game being a late game last night.
Yeah, I mean, and plus, I mean, I get some of that obviously at the high school level, and I can even buy it a little bit at the college level, but I'll be damned if I'm going to start fouling. I mean, unless you know somebody's a Shaquille O'Neal type free throw shooter. You know, I just don't think that that's a professional strategy that you should, you know, you know, even look to. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And you know, like you said, look at the source too.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like, and I do agree with you. I mean, hell, we go back to one of the funniest basketball moments I can remember, Greg Popovich pulling the hack-a-shack literally off the tip-off of the game. And it's like, it is what it is. But, I think that it's a really bad look for a league that's already got a bad look, and it didn't help matters last night. You fouled Seth Curry, who's not the worst free throw shooter in the world. Is he like Steph that's basically automatic? No, but he's not a bad free throw shooter. Obviously, anytime you talk to Draymond Green, that enhances any conversation. And he was asked about it last night, and I will give our guy Rob Perez, Worldwide Wob on X, some credit for this, because he was the one that started pointing this out when the video was kind of going viral this morning. Draymond says, I saw a team foul Seth Curry tonight with 3 minutes left to go for no reason. Green went on to say, I get fined when I do wrong. Fine the hell out of people. And again, we've talked about it several times on the show to the point of nauseum, where we're putting a ban on talking about how to fix tanking in the NBA, because that's not my damn job. Adam Silver gets paid plenty of money to figure that out. But again, I think the one consensus we all came to, and there's been some funny proposals that I've seen out there. Somebody on Reddit last night suggested dynamic beer pricing based on your team's record, which, I mean, that'd be cool if you like the Kings. You're drinking, and somebody flipped it to a hockey example last night, and they're like, they got all the way down to the bottom of the list of dynamic beer pricing, and they're like, hey, if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, you better not be driving yourself home tonight, buddy. But like, I think that's the only way it's really going to help, and I do agree with a little bit with what Draymond's saying in this point is, until you start hitting these owners deep in the pocketbooks and doing it on a repeated basis, it's not going to change. It's a horrible look for the league. I mean, how much hockey have we talked in the last couple weeks compared to the NBA, just because there's so much left to be decided in hockey right now? You can say what you want about the Pacific Division. It's a circus, as TJ referred to it last night, but it's competitive because all those spots are up for grabs. The NBA, and Draymond's point last night, and this is something I'll give you credit for, Mac, because you were the one that first made me start looking at this, and now I've looked at it every damn day. Literally, the Warriors, and Draymond was saying last night, he's like, We theoretically could have lost a dozen games in a row. I don't remember the exact number, but that he put on it, and he goes, "We wouldn't have moved from 10th place. That's a problem." Bottom of the league right now in the West, 0-10, 3-7, 2-8, 1-9, 2-8. Those are your bottom five teams in the West, the ones that are eliminated from postseason play. That is their record over the last 10 games. That is an embarrassment.
And I'll be honest, you can say it. It's not even the last 10 games. If you remember at the beginning of the year, in doing the rankings, we kind of looked at it from both angles. We looked at it from the best teams and we looked at it from the worst teams. And if we were to go back and rack up those videos again and play them again, I'll bet you those same 5 or 6 teams on the bottom are still there. And so, yeah, it is a problem. And like I said, it's every industry has like something about it that needs to be fixed. And I think with the NBA, they've got to fix the bottom half of the league. And if they don't, and again, this is why I'm kind of against the expansion that they're even looking at. I'm like, why are you trying to water down this product even more? Because it's not a great product right now. I mean, we both love basketball. We both love watching basketball. We're not, I want to say in a minority, but a little bit. I mean, we both enjoy watching NBA basketball. We really truly do. The two of us do.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I watch some games sometimes at night, and I'm just like, man, this is it's bad stuff. It really truly is. And like you said, the last part of the year, there's no excitement left. We've known now for almost 2 weeks, for the most part, what the playoffs were going to look like. I mean, with everything else that's going on in the sports world, the eyes are not on the NBA.
No, they're not, and it's ridiculous, especially this late in the season. And again, I'll point the finger square at the play-in tournament. I think it's useless. I think when it first started, it had some legs and it was a good concept. I love it this year for literally two examples: the Portland Trail Blazers and the Charlotte Hornets. Those are teams that are actively trying to get better, and Portland had every excuse in the world this year to phone it in, pack it in within the first week. I think seeing those two teams in the play-in tournament, exciting for me. Miami, again in the play-in tournament. Philadelphia in the play-in tournament. The Clippers in the play-in tournament. The Warriors in the play-in tournament. That does nothing for me one bit whatsoever. Let's stay in the NBA because we've got some shenanigans going on. This is a report, a story I kind of heard wind of the other day, but it's getting some legs now, and it's kind of hilarious when you read the details on it. Dave McMenamin and Tim McMahon of ESPN, the Mavericks are disputing the Lakers coach JJ Redick's claim that their medical team examined the wrong part of Austin Reeves' body when the guard received an MRI by Dallas' staff over the weekend. Quote, "Our medical team followed standard imaging protocols based on the information provided at the time." So citing the source as the Lakers there. The Mavericks said in a statement first issued to Dallas Sports on Tuesday, later provided to ESPN, there was no error in the scan performed. Redick followed that with, "I don't know where the chain of command lies with Dallas Imaging, but they scanned the wrong area. The mistake was not on our end. We made it explicit to what was supposed to be scanned, and they scanned the wrong area." Dallas can't even handle MRIs right anymore in basketball. Thanks a lot, Mark Cuban. Why'd you sell to these dopes?
Yeah, and there was that story that came out like a week or so ago that he said, "I made a mistake." But so again, I don't know the inner workings of how this works and with any of the sports. But isn't there somebody from the Lakers there, a representative for the Lakers sports medicine, right? Like, so when I read this, I'm kind of like, I can understand that. I mean, we always hear weird stories. I hear a lot. My wife working in the medical field about, things that happen sometimes at the hospital that shouldn't happen, this, that, and the other thing. You hear all the weird stories, but I would think that there's a representative of the Lakers, team that's there to make sure things get done properly. So, yeah, I mean, we can point the finger at Dallas, but I'm really pointing the finger at the Lakers. And again, I don't know how the inner workings of this go. I don't work for a professional basketball team, but it's just weird that you would send one of your players to get some sort of medical treatment and not have. Uh, I mean, you watch the games, you see like on the bench, there's like all those people at the end of the bench and all the people like in the first five rows that are all part of the organization that are there. I mean, somebody couldn't go with them and figure this out. It's that's to me, this whole thing is weird.
Apparently not. Austin Reeves, 4 to 6 weeks is the timetable for his return. And if you're a math genius, on April 8th, you can project that well into the, well, not well into the first round. I mean, hell, with the way the NBA does the first round schedule, he might only miss one damn game of their first round series. But the Lakers still trying to hold on to their positioning in a West that's getting a little jumpy, if you will, a little dicey, if you will, around the 3, 4, 5, 6 area there. We know the play-in teams are the play-in teams, but it's kind of an interesting shuffle right now because we've got Denver in third, a game ahead of both Los Angeles, the Lakers, and the Rockets. The Timberwolves, they're 4 games back of third, and there's only 3 games really left to go for them. Let me see, quick math, 79. Yeah, there's only 3 games left to go for them. So we're talking about one game separating 3 teams, and the difference is the winner of that little prize at 3 gets the Timberwolves, who I think are going to be a relatively easy out in the postseason, and avoids having to play the Rockets. Right now, your matchup would be Lakers and Rockets, which is interesting to me because the Rockets don't have a point guard. They can't win games in clutch time, and the Lakers are going to have to be carried by LeBron. So that could be a horribly awful on your eyes series there that I would probably still have to give the edge in just general depth to the Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, and the Rockets have played well there. I just look at 8-2 in their last 10 games. They've won 7 in a row. Yeah, I mean they've closed the ground on the Lakers. I was just going to pull up. I wanted to see who do the Lakers have uh, the rest of the year. That's what I'm
Nothing
trying
difficult.
to trying to pull up their schedule here and just see if it's sorry,
I
it's
know
thinking
I'm pretty sure they've got a game in there with the Warriors. That's their next game, actually, tomorrow
that's
night
it.
on
I got it.
Prime Video.
Oh, so at yeah, oh gosh, at Golden State, then home to Phoenix and Utah. Yeah, I mean those are
Yeah,
at
so
least 2 games that they
nothing.
should win. Yeah, so but I
Yeah, and
mean
it'll be
the
interesting to see how Golden State handles that game too. If it's something that's worth trying for them at that point, or if it's just, I know they're trying to get Steph Curry back some minutes and get him ready for the play-in tournament, but we've said what we've said about this Warriors team. I mean, if the Warriors make the first round of the playoffs, they're looking at a matchup with Oklahoma City, and they're probably done in 5, if not 4.
yeah, I mean it just it's too bad. I mean, because I feel, I know Curry's been hurt, but it just feels like over the last couple of years that they haven't done enough to surround Curry with a team that can be competitive. It's just, I
Mike
don't know.
Dunleavy Jr.'s offseason will be the most watched thing in the Bay Area. That and how many trades John Lynch makes at the draft. We'll mention the NFL draft here in a little bit. One thing I do want to see, and there is one thing that I am watching in the NBA desperately here. I need the Charlotte Hornets to move out of the 9 spot and get to 8 or 7, which they have a very good chance to do. They're a half game behind Orlando and Philadelphia, who are ahead of them at 8 and 7. They're actually only a game and a half behind Toronto, but reason I want to see them move up to that 7 or 8 spot is because I want them legitimately to grab the 7 seed, because I think for my own personal humor, watching you have to go through a Hornets Celtics series would be hilarious. And I also think it would be a really fun matchup. I think that would be a good test for a Boston team that has passed every test thrown in their face this year, especially not having Jason Tatum for the bulk of the year. I think that would be a fantastic matchup. But they got to get out of the 9 spot to do it. Otherwise, they're looking at a date with Detroit in the first round. Would you be okay? Hornets and Celtics, would you make it through that?
Yeah, no, I would be okay with it. I mean, listen, you've got to beat some good teams to get through anyway. That's a tough matchup. I'll be honest with you, the team. It's kind of funny because said some bad things about them. The team that I really am worried about, the Celtics more so having to play, would be the Atlanta Hawks. That is just, the Hawks are not a good matchup for the Celtics. It's just not that Charlotte is, but I'm starting to really worry about having to play the Atlanta Hawks if Boston were to go down that path. I think Atlanta's going to make a nice run in this. I think they're going to be a surprise team.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I don't know if I'm with you on the Hawks. I think I'm going to rely with your
My
prior
initial.
statement on the Hawks that they're a complete and absolute fraud. Last night we talked about some of the coaching changes in the NHL, and I wanted to go back into the Peter DeBoer thing because he had some comments. He had some. You got Ross checking in right here. I read that like one time wrong.
Yeah.
It's a shrink.
Yeah.
He made some comments that have kind of circulated themselves here, and one of the things that Pete DeBoer said is he was sold on the vision of the Islanders. I've coached in every division in the league. There's nothing like the rivalries of the Rangers, Devils, Islanders, Philly. It's fantastic. And I won't BS you. The travel's nice compared to Dallas, San Jose, and Vegas, he said. He went on later to say that the key factor, according to him, was the vision that was set out by the Islanders. And he goes on to say, he really sold me. I think when I first picked up the phone, my initial reaction was probably exactly what you guys are saying. We're 2 weeks away from the offseason. What's the rush? And he sold me on the organization and the vision and the direction of ownership. So PDB is bought into the Islanders' vision. Are you bought into the Islanders' vision?
I'm not, and here's why. I mean, it's kind of funny. If you continue to read on the article, they talk about Patrick Waugh and say he was the most unprofessional when told he was being fired on Sunday. Yeah, no shit, he should be in a way. I'm like, what do
What do
they
we
expect?
expect him to go? Thanks for the opportunity and smile?
Yeah, like right before like again, I and we said this last night. I'm like, these are teams that functionally had things wrong with them throughout the course of the season, and now you're, just a week or so away from the playoffs, and you think bringing in a new coach, trying to, I mean, manipulate the system that one coach already had. Like I said, I would be interested to see. I mean, it'll never happen. These guys will never say anything about it, but I'll be interested to see how many of those players are pissed off that Patrick Waugh is not leading them into the playoffs.
Yeah, and the Isles still in the thick of it, not in action tonight, but they sit at 89 points chasing the 92-point Ottawa Senators with only 4 games left to go in the regular season. In action tonight, the Rangers actually winning another home game, shocking, against Buffalo 3-2. Toronto getting shut out so far by Washington. Coming up at the top of the next hour, San Jose and Edmonton in what is a really big game for both of those teams tonight as far as how it lays out scenarios for them in the postseason. So, it'll be interesting to see if the move pays off. Then obviously the Islanders look like absolute freaking geniuses. If it doesn't, then it's like where and this goes back to what you said last night. And I do agree with you here. It's like, what's he gonna fix in four games that hasn't been fixed in 78 games? Like, that's the thing that really doesn't make any damn sense. They finished with Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, and Carolina. So 4 straight home games for PDB as he gets settled in New York with the Islanders. But, you've got Ottawa, Montreal, and Carolina there. I mean, I know Carolina really doesn't have anything to play for, but that's not a team that's just going to roll over and say, screw it, just for the sake of doing it, because that's not their style.
No, and they act. I mean, they're still in the battle to be the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're a couple of points up on both of all Tampa, Buffalo, and Montreal, and they finished their last 4 games. Are all on the road, so it's going to be a tough road, tough road for them, if you will. Yeah, I know, to claim that. But I mean, you're right. I mean, any team with Rob Brindamore as their head coach is not going to roll over.
Yeah, absolutely not. So, again, the big game of the night is Edmonton and San Jose coming up at the top of the next hour from the SAP Center, a.k.a. the Shark Tank in San Jose. And, of course, in the infinite wisdom of the NHL, the final Friday of the regular season, which is this Friday, and there isn't a single damn game on the freaking schedule. Like, who just this late in the year on a Friday freaking night? And I know you're trying to time everybody's finish to the season up right because of the way you start into the playoffs right away. Mm-hmm. But how is there not a freaking game on Friday night this late in the season? You could have flex scheduled a game there. You could have given us any one of these really good matchups on Saturday, like Vegas and Colorado. You've got Minnesota and Nashville, who's still in a playoff chase. Edmonton is at the Kings. You could put any one of those games in a standalone spot on Friday night, and you could have had the attention of obviously the hockey fans and just sports fans in general. Friday, Masters is over. Great hockey game. Nah, we're good. We don't need to schedule anything.
Yeah.
Idiots.
I would just say if I'm going to play the devil's advocate, they have games from early morning all the way through. I mean, you could literally watch hockey all day. First game, you have Tampa at Boston, 9 a.m. our time. The last game, 7 a.m. Vancouver and San Jose. And I'm just looking at the matchups. I mean, there's most of the matchups still have meaning to them. There's very few games on that schedule that don't have some meaning to them. So, again, maybe that's their thinking. We're just going to load up on Saturday and just have a hockey day in Canada kind of thing.
Yeah, no. I'm not gonna play devil's advocate or give him any credit. I think it's idiotic. Before we go any further and talk some baseball tonight, I have a bone to pick with you. All the right. Masters start tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
We made our picks on the show last night. For those of you that missed it, Mike versus Mack will be up right after the show is over tonight on all of our social channels at Mike Arano Show, everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks. That being said, your long shot is the favorite to win the damn tournament. And I know we have the rules pretty lax on this thing. We have a general criteria of what we determine a long shot to be. And I know at the end of the stage, again, for those of you that don't know what Mike versus Mack is, 3 golfers each. We split up the season into 4 segments on the PGA Tour. Basically, each segment ends with a major. Majors are worth double points. If a guy, we have a 6-through-1 scoring system. If a guy misses a cut, you get -1. If he misses a cut in a major, you get -2. It's Survivor style. You can only use these golfers once per stage. I used Scotty Scheffler week 1 in Phoenix. Didn't know that he was going to go into a pre-having baby slump to start the year. Whatever. And you dropped him as your freaking long shot. And I know it was a little tongue-in-cheek, and everybody will see that the way you said it when the video comes out. But I can go back to last night and go, yeah, my long shot is a guy who, last time this happened, he started playing his best golf. Who's also the favorite to win the Masters. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
Well, I told you, it's one of those things, just as the segment unwound and I just continued to take a bigger, I'm like, I'm just going to push him off for another week. And then, my plan was I was really going to use him in Texas in one of the 2, because I know he likes Texas. And then, the baby thing happened. So, my ultimate was, like I said, I originally was going to say, I'm going to beat you in this segment without using Scotty or Rory. But, I didn't. But, I mean, listen, he number one, he hasn't played great. Number 2, he hasn't played in 2 or 3 weeks. And it's still a Masters. So, I mean, I don't, he's the favorite in name only. I don't really think people would consider him the favorite after taking all this time off. I mean, realistically. I'll be honest. I don't. If he breaks in the top 10,
you are a terrible salesman. Just for the record, you are a terrible salesman. That was the biggest load of 1 minute and 26 seconds of bull crap I've ever heard in my life, and I actually watch commissioners' press conferences, so I've heard a lot of bull crap. Right. Terminology is key here, Mackenzie. It's not your first. It's not your first day at the rodeo.
Hey,
Scotty
listen,
Scheffler, the freaking long shot.
Stop, just like the NBA, I should say, unlike the NBA, I'm playing every week to win. Let's just put it that way. And the fact that this is what I've got left in this week, hey, listen, I'm not going to apologize.
glad we weren't doing this when Tiger Woods was behind
Oh
golf
gosh.
drivers, not behind steering wheels, because I could have heard it then. You know, my long shot pick this week at Augusta, Tiger Woods.
Hey,
Come on, bro.
I like my ultra wild card in Terrell Hatton. I'm all on Terrell Hatton this weekend.
I am very much liking the general vibe that you threw down on him. I'm obviously going to bet Justin Rose to be a first round leader because it's the
Hmm.
Masters. Why not? By the way, I
Yeah.
heard an interview clip with Justin Rose today. If there isn't every network that does golf coverage, all two of them, basically, begging for him to be a part of their broadcast team whenever he decides he's done playing, you're all fools because I could listen to this guy talk about golf forever. And he's one of those guys that he doesn't talk to you like I'm a pro golfer and you're just a neighborhood hack. Like he
Hmm.
can explain it from the pro level to a neighborhood hack. We've seen guys that have actually earned tour status at different levels based on just watching YouTube. Like Justin Rose needs to
Hmm.
be on a broadcast team, needs to be the golf insider for somebody the second he decides he wants to. I'm
We
expecting a big weekend for Rosie this weekend.
I'm going to give you a little sneak peek.
Uh
Um, we may talk about Justin Rose in our liquid locks. Just
oh.
saying.
That is what we call a tease in the business. Let's get to the diamond. Plenty of stuff going on. Watched a little day baseball today.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff has been kind of interesting to follow here at the start of the season. Like who's worse, the Red Sox or the Giants? I mean, we could go a number of different directions here, but let's get to a couple of the bigger things. Before we get to another edition, our second edition of the rotation by Vegas Mack here. The Chicago Cubs, they're at it again, Mack. Cade Horton, elbow surgery, and he's going to miss the rest of the season. This is a team that is maddening because if
Hmm.
they are fully stocked and fully loaded, I think they are arguably the 1A as far as talented teams top to bottom in the National League. They cannot find starting pitchers on this team that can stay healthy for an entire season. This is just another blow for them. The expectations for Cade Horton were really high. The expectations for the Cubs in general are high. This is one hell of a swift kick in the gonads here to start the season for the Cubs.
Yeah, it's definitely not what they had hoped for. They've kind of they got off to a bad start the first week or so. They played a little bit better, but yeah, I mean here the the one thing we always talk about with the Dodgers. Let's just use. I mean they're the best example. The reason the Dodgers have a lot of success in the regular season
Hmm.
is because they can afford, to lose a starting pitcher like this. The Cubs can't really do that. So now you've got to look at the Cubs and say, okay, who's that guy that they can maybe find a pivot to? Because there's a couple of guys on that roster that they've talked about maybe being able to use as trade bait. But Who's that pitcher that they can maybe get at a trade deadline that may make a difference for them? We already have to start thinking about that for the Cubs.
You know whose name's going to come up first. And desperate times call for desperate measures sometimes. There's a guy who everybody seems to hate, who still can throw a baseball pretty damn good, and he's playing for the Long Island Ducks right now. Is
Mhm.
this the year that we get a Bauer outage back in Major League Baseball? Because outside of that, who are we talking about? The same guy we talked about all year last year, and Sandy
Well,
Alcantara from the Marlins would be the biggest name. But do you have enough
I
prospects left to go get him?
I have a name that's still out there. It's not. He's a free agent, and I really like him, and that's Lucas Giolito. I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cubs maybe went after like someone like that. I mean, he pitched really well for the Red Sox last year. I was kind of surprised that the Red Sox didn't re-sign him, but I would see if the Cubs don't do something with Giolito here in the next couple of days.
Yeah, and I'm flipping through here. By the way, folks, if you don't have one of these and you really are a baseball fan, this is probably the only book I actually read all friggin' year. As you can see, there's Roman Anthony up there and Jackson Holiday up there from the previous two editions. But I'm looking through at the Cubs. Well, we know Mo Ballesteros is already on the big league roster. Owen Cassie has gone. Jackson Wiggins, and again, I don't have who's active at what level in here, but this is the one thing I can tell you from the multiple last couple years, and especially if I grabbed those two books above me there and went back a year or two, what the Cubs used to have in their farm system is not what they have in their farm system anymore. So is there an active major leaguer on your roster that maybe you consider moving? But again, it's the unfortunate thing, period, here is we're talking about the Cubs early in the season dealing with pitching injuries. They are winning tonight in the big circus tent at Tropicana Field, 6-2 right now over the Rays in the bottom of the ninth. Today for the Cubs, Colin Ray, 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Milner, Brown, and Harvey have been in since then for the Cubs. Nico Horner, 3 for 5, a home run, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored to lead the Cubs so far tonight. But when you look at it, again, and we said this at the beginning of the year, and we talked about where teams were ranked and what we expected for everybody coming into the year. And here we've got the Cubs, and granted, they're only 3 games out of first place. This isn't an overreaction thing, but there's been a hot start from the Cardinals. It's been a hot start from the Pirates. It's been another hot start from the Brewers. And there's another hot start from the Reds. So they're losing ground early, which is something you can make up. But this is definitely not what you want to be dealing with.
No, and I think with that Central Division, it's the one that has the worst mix. I mean, we don't really know what's going to happen with that division. I mean, like you said, Milwaukee off to a good start. Is this year Cincinnati? It looks like they maybe have taken that step forward. I mean, I think the Cubs were able to win a lot of games against some bad teams in their division, and I think that kind of helped them. That's not going to be the case this year. Whoever wins that Central, it's going to be quite a battle to win that Central this year, because I think you have 5 teams. They may not be great teams, but I think compared to each other, they're pretty close to each other.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there. And the Central, like you kind of just alluded to, is, that's, we talked about it a lot. I really kind of felt like the American League East was going to be extremely compelling, and it looks as if it's going to be. But, the AL Central, we thought everybody just kind of was automatically crowning the Tigers, which to their start early in the season has not been an accurate thing. The Royals haven't done themselves any favor. And oh, by the way, just like the Brewers, here are the Guardians again playing tremendous baseball. So, it's gonna be interesting, because the Cubs, not only are they dealing with the injuries now, but they're dealing with a moderately cold start to their offense for the most part. And that's kind of gonna be the thing. Now, obviously, the trade for Cabrera in the offseason is going to carry them a long way. But, and here's the other thing too, and I think this is something a lot of people are forgetting about the Cubs. We're not, but it's not at the forefront of your brain here, is Justin Steele is still working his way back, and they are going to get him back at some point this year, recovering from TJ, but, it's not recovering from our TJ, because that wouldn't get you back in a year. Recovering from Tommy John surgery, like, nobody's going to add a guy like Steele, assuming that Steele comes back healthy.
Mm-hmm. Again, one of the things that I look at, and I'm looking at it early, is run differential. And you look in that Central, 4 of the 5 teams have a positive win run differential in there. The only team is the Cardinals with a -1, and they're the only division that's even close like that. You talked about the American League East. There's only one team with a positive run differential, and that's the Yankees at +27. And so I think it just goes back. I'll be honest, I'm going to say it right now. I think the National League Central is going to be the most compelling division in baseball this year.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Let's go to Fight Night in Anaheim last night. Anaheim, screw it. They're going to be who I call them tonight, and they're going to be the Anaheim Angels tonight. The Angels have given us 2 of the more iconic and memorable moments already this season. Mm-hmm. That one from Saturday night. TJ was not in the building for that because he had already meandered his way across the street to the Ducks game. And then last night, we get Fight Night between Ray Lopez and Jorge Soler. And this thing got all kinds of goofy. It was goofy from the start. Jorge Soler,
Hmm.
and I completely forgot about this yesterday. It's a stat that's been told to me before and didn't make me feel good when he hit another tank job off of Lopez in the first inning. Like damn near a 600 batting average off of Lopez in his career. Well, then the next time he comes up, he gets thrown at, and then like there's this weird 10-minute delay, and then all of a sudden, I'm watching Jorge Soler get form tackled by that little bald guy down there. That is Walt
Walt
Weiss, the
Weiss.
manager of the Braves, who, if you know anything about Walt Weiss's background, makes a lot of sense why he would do that there. Soler is not a dude I would ever want to see in a back alley, Mac. That's
No.
a fight even my mouth wouldn't write a check for.
Yeah, I mean that's a dude that you just don't want to mess with. But I mean, you want to talk that picture was great. I mean, you want to talk about winning your team over. Holy crap! I mean, maybe Weiss ought to go coach the friggin' Islanders or something. Maybe that would make a difference. But how can that not fire you up as a player to see your
Mm-hmm.
manager, just putting it to one of those big guys? I mean, that's absolutely incredible. But yeah, it was really weird. It was like, and again, you have to go back and you have to know that there's history between these guys because number one, that the pitch that he threw wasn't necessarily really close to him. I mean, it
Mm-mm.
was if he was trying to send a message, that was a horrible message. That was a dial-up message. That wasn't anything good at all. I mean, but again, knowing the history between these two, that was an exceptional fight. That was a really good fight. It went on for a while, but it took a while to get going. I don't think I've ever seen one take that long to kind of get started.
Yeah, it was definitely weird to see, and we'll get to the fallout from that here. But since you were a catcher at a very high level, I have a bone to pick with Jonah Heim of the Braves last night because,
Yeah.
as much as I can't stand or I couldn't stand AJ Pierzynski, the player, AJ
Hmm.
Pierzynski, the broadcaster now, I not a huge fan of him on like game calls. But the
No,
dude knows
done.
baseball, and he was talking about it today. He's like, your job as a catcher, he gets 2 steps, and he doesn't get to throw on your pitcher. And
No.
Jonah Heim basically did nothing. He tackled as if he played for the Arizona Cardinals and just gave one of these olays to try and slow Soler down. Like, Jonah Heim was nowhere to be found. Have you ever hung one of your own pitchers out to dry like that before?
Um, no. I mean,
I know you got to think a
regardless.
long way back, but
Yeah, I know. No, regardless, I mean it's one of those things. I've been in quite a few tussles, and again, your number one job is make sure that guy does not get to your pitcher. You know, I don't have it. I mean, everybody knows he doesn't like to talk about it. He won't sign a picture of it. But Jason Veritek, the
uh
slam dunk of A-Rod. That, ladies
mhm.
and gentlemen, that is how it's done. And I saw another one today, and it was another one of my guys. And I had forgotten about this one. Gary Carter holding back Andre Dawson in a fight. Now that's pretty impressive because Andre Dawson is a dude.
Did you get what I sent you guys earlier?
Uh,
The sneak peek of one of the videos that's going out this weekend. Have you seen it
yes,
yet? Is a better question.
yeah. The reference to the mule. Yes.
Yeah, TJ just texted me.
Oh,
Uphill both ways.
both
So
ways.
you talked about Weiss firing up his team, and it looks like they did exactly that because the Braves, they went on to win 7-2 last night. They go out to win 8-2 today. So a Braves team, and we were just kind of talking about the start for the Cubs. This is a Braves team that, while the record is better than the Cubs, their key players hadn't really been off to a very good start. Ronald Acuna had a decent series there. That's a positive sign. Michael Harris still struggling. Jonah Heim's giving them Patrick Bailey numbers behind the plate with the twig in his hand. Matt Olson and Ozzy Albies have been carrying, and Drake Baldwin have been carrying that offense. So maybe it's a sign of things to come. The Halos are headed out on the road now for a long road trip. I believe Atlanta goes back home, but it was definitely, it looks like, at least in the immediate returns to what you were referencing with Walt Weiss, that it may have done exactly that and fired the boys up and got the bats going.
Yeah, this could be. You might want to circle the date, April 7th, on the Atlanta Braves calendar, and just see how things kind of go from here. I mean, I know it's early in the season, but sometimes you find one of those things that's I say non-baseball. It wasn't a baseball play. It's just part of the game that can make the difference in the season.
Are your dogs okay over there?
I have no idea.
It sounds like they're trying to reenact Soler and Lopez from last night right now. The fallout, and this is something that baseball absolutely 1,000% needs to fix and fix now. Both guys were suspended today for 7 games. Both guys appealed, as is per usual.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Lopez agreed to a 5-game suspension, therefore was missing no time whatsoever from the Braves, will not miss a start, whereas Jorge Soler, if they uphold the entire thing, he's going to be out for 7 games, and he's had a pretty solid start to the year for an Angels offense that hasn't really been the problem other than the last couple of days. He misses no starts. Like, what did he learn? And he's the dumbass that decided to take a swing with the baseball in his hand, with his pitching hand, to Jorge Soler's helmet, which is equally dumb. He should have gotten an automatic 6 just for that.
So, I guess I'm going to take this aspect of it. I don't think there should be any suspensions at all. I don't think it's a suspension type thing. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that fights are part of the game. I mean, like in hockey, I mean, they are part of it. But fights happen in sports. I don't think people should be suspended for fighting. I mean, it's not like these happen all the time. It happens every once in a while, and just what it's not to sound all macho, but it's just a guy thing to blow off steam. Let him blow off steam and get it done. I mean, for the most part, once it's done, it's over with. You kick them out of that game. They're done for that game. They don't need to be suspended for a week or 5 days or 10. That's just stupid. I mean, this is grown men. It's going to happen from time to time, unless it's something, like, the batter goes out there with a bat and starts whacking away. I mean, or something really that deserves it. But I mean, if it's
We've
just
seen
a
one of
fight,
those.
yeah, we've seen those. But I mean, if it's just a fight, it's a fight. Just they're out for that game and just move on, because it, like you said, it's inadequate for a pitcher to be suspended 5 games and not miss a start, and a regular player to miss, even if it's 5 games. That's 5 games that he's going to miss. It's not equitable. So just what, like I said, just let it go. They're out of that game and move on. It's stupid.
The Bravos returning home to take on the Guardians, which will be your Sunday night baseball game, with the whole host of great visitors to the booth this weekend. Make sure you check that out. But they return home for a Friday game against Cleveland. Slade Ciccone for the Guards, Bryce Elder on the bump for the Braves. And we talked about ballparks yesterday, and I tried to sell you on Truist Park because of my enjoyable experience I had there. Well, the Braves, and we know crazy-ass stadium food is all the rage now, like a 2-foot hot dog at Coors Field, amongst a lot of other rando things. The taco at the Miami Marlins game called the machete, which I don't even know how you would functionally eat this at a baseball game. The Braves have put together something I like, though. It's called the Bat Flip Burger. It's a 2 pounds of seasoned beef, braised short rib, crispy pork belly, melted cheese, crunchy onions, green leaf lettuce, sliced red tomatoes, and a fried egg, all stacked on toasted brioche. That's friggin' incredible shit right there. It's called the Bat Flip at Truist Park. Is that something Vegas Mac would attempt to throw down?
I mean, yeah, for my family. I mean, that's.
I know
I
it doesn't have drawn. Maybe they have drawn butter on the brioche roll for you.
There you go. I mean, there's no way I could eat that whole thing in a 9-inning, 18-inning game. Even. I mean, that just sounds like a lot of food. But like I said, I would love that. I could take it, ask them to cut it up, 8, 9 different ways, and give each part to one of my kids. and I think that would be perfect. I think it's a perfect family meal, but there's no way that this dude is going to be able to tackle that. I'll take the L there.
I would give it a shot. Let me see
I mean,
if I can get you a price on this thing. 7 inches this burger is. What? Give me a price guess on the bat flip burger.
uh,
7 inches of just southern meat.
$26.99.
Jesus. I just heard what I said out
I
loud.
know, I know.
Come on,
26.99.
MLB. All right, I'm gonna go back to that while it's trying to open
All
up
right.
the pricing.
I'll write it down.
Dodgers lost the game
26.99.
today to the Jays, which marks their first road loss of the season. The Jays not playing great baseball over the last 7 days. The Dodgers started the season though 5-0 for the first time since 1977, and it got me thinking last night. One of the things I pointed out when I didn't pick the Dodgers to win the World Series this year was they're not getting any younger. Obviously, always concerns with the pitching, and they were 41-40, meh, on the road last year. And then I saw them go to 5-0 last night on the road, while there was another 100,000 weenies consumed in the stadium yesterday. Yesterday there were 77 cents, so shout out to Canada for taking down the loony dogs. You know what I almost feel like? I almost feel like the Dodgers setting a record for the best record in the history of baseball for road wins, which I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I almost feel like that might be something that they're trying this year because they have to find a way to entertain themselves in the regular season. If that team learns how to play on the road better than they did last year, this could be a very miserable next like handful of months for us.
Um, let's see. I was just looking to see most 60 MLB team with the most wins in a season on the road. I remember this. Yes, I remember this. The 1906 Chicago Cubs, 60 wins. That was a good season, 1906.
I'm going to try and get back reconnected here since it sounded like he was in the
There you go.
Matrix. Let's see.
Oh, is that better? Am I back?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you. I said the
Yeah. You were very glitchy there.
oh, sorry. The 1906 Cubs, 60 wins. That was a great season. Good old the 1906 Cubbies. That's the record.
60. That means they went 60 and 2 on the road? I don't know if it was no.
No,
I'm
so
an idiot. 60 and 22. Why did I say
22.
2? Or 60 and 21.
1, yeah.
What an idiot.
So,
So I've seen that this will be $75 to $100 depending on
oh,
the toppings. That
okay.
can't be
So
right.
that's
What do
a
they
lot
think
of
they're
money.
the freaking Atlanta Dodgers?
That's a lot of money for a burger.
That can't be $75. If there's anybody watching that's been to a Braves game this year or has had this burger, I want to know if it's like amazing and if you felt at any point like you were going to have a heart attack, and B, I want to know how much this damn thing actually is. It says it's a massive shareable $100 specialty, but even if you're splitting that with somebody, is it worth $50 to you? I don't know.
That's a no. I mean, there's a lot more baseball food that you could get. I'm not gonna. No way. That's just too much.
Let's keep it simple, people. We're getting a little
So
too out of the
it's
box
too
here.
much. Exactly.
This was something I found very interesting too. So, and I guess somehow I missed this. Okay, it's only been out for a couple of days. So, David Schoenfeld on ESPN, MLB 2026 Watchability Index, ranking the most fun teams to watch. And I figured, and it was perfectly timed now that I see the date by him, because we've seen everybody play for almost 2 weeks now, and you've got kind of a interesting mix of what you've seen on the field. And he ranks every team, with the last team on this list being the Colorado Rockies, who actually are playing really good baseball right now, which sounds not even normal to come out of your mouth. And obviously the number one team to watch is not the Los Angeles Dodgers. He actually has TJ's Philadelphia Phillies there, and he ranks them on three different scales: star power, young talent, baseball stuff, and then bonus points. So the Phillies got a 14 in star power, 8 in young talent, 8 for baseball stuff. 3 bonus points, plus 1 for the best set of uniforms in baseball,
Not
plus
even
1
close.
for ballpark atmosphere, plus a half for Trey Turner's speed, and a half for the Philly Fanatic. So he outscored the Phillies over the Dodgers 33-30. What I would ask you is, have you found a team that so far this season that you've had them on a couple times and went, that's a team I could watch on a fairly regular basis this year? Has anybody kind of wowed you in that regard?
Well, I haven't watched a lot of different teams, but the one team so far that I would put in there is the Cincinnati Reds. I'm kind of that's a team. They have some. I love their pitching. They have some good young talent. It's always fun to watch a game at their ballpark because I mean it's kind of like they're never out of the game. They've got some guys that like Suarez who can hit some home runs now, and of course with Terry as manager, I mean there's always fun stuff going on. I think the Cincinnati Reds are a fun young team because again, just watching Ellie De La Cruz on a daily basis is fun.
Yeah, absolutely is. I don't, and I've talked to you guys about this a little bit. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, especially because my team is playing at the same time as these guys a lot. I seem to end up watching more Angels games than any other team in baseball, and I don't understand why. I know sometimes it's legitimately because we've got dollar dingers going, and Joe Adell is at the top of that list for Angels that we use. I think Zach Neto will get into that mix a little bit this year. And they're, I don't know why. I just like watching them play, which is maddening sometimes because watching them play is, I can't even imagine how T is an Angels fan sometimes watching them play, but for some reason, they're that weird team I always end up having on.
I think I haven't watched them this year, but I think another team that, as I'm looking at this, that I think falls into that category are the Athletics. I think the Athletics would, I mean, that lineup, I think that would be a fun lineup to watch.
Yeah, I mean, and they haven't even really started hitting this year. The other
No.
team that I've ended up watching, I guess to go back to the first question, and maybe it's because I've got a vested rooting interest, so I don't look like a fool because I said I thought the Pirates were going to grab the last wild card spot in the National League. I've enjoyed watching them, partially because it's a comedy show with O'Neill Cruz in center. I love Brandon Lau, obviously the pitching staff. By the way, you're not getting off the show tonight without answering that question, but Billy V checking in. Same thing. Pirates are a team for him, young talent on the team, and of course, some dude named Skeens. Very fair point there. But like, I think this year I'm really vested in watching the Pirates a lot more because I do like their offense. I love the makeup of their lineup. Obviously, you can't not like the pitching. It's one of the parks that I haven't been to that I really want to get to because it looks amazing. So, I don't know. It's like the Pirates and Angels for me, for some reason, are the two teams that I've watched the most this year. Probably because watching the Giants on a regular basis is not going to be very helpful to my actual overall health this year. What else you got from the watchability list there? Is there a team you've really wanted to watch this year so far that you haven't gotten a chance to watch yet? I know the real Red Sox would be the answer to that question, but somebody other than them. Unmute your microphone, damn it.
Damn it. Yes, the A's. I haven't watched the A's at all this year. That's a team. I'll tell you the other team. I've mentioned them quite a few times. I haven't watched the Chicago White Sox play, and I'm interested in watching Murakami play. I want to see him play because he's been off to a good start. I like some of their young players that they have. I'm interested in the White Sox.
No, it's fair. I've seen him
Yeah.
play a couple times this year and legitimately was to watch Murakami. But like Chase Mydroth, fun player to watch. Like they've got some dudes on that team that are enjoyable to watch play baseball. And it's nice that the White Sox and the Colorado Rockies to start the year don't look like complete ass right now. That's not a bad thing.
And I think there's another team that were interesting to me last year, and we talked about them a little bit. and that's the Nationals. I like Woods. I like C.J. Abrams. I'm interested to see. Again, they're not playing very well. Woods is starting to hit again, but it'd be interesting to see what that team can do.
Yeah, good luck with that. Let me know
Yeah,
how
I'm
it
trying.
goes.
I know it's a great
I don't
ballpark
even want to
though.
watch them play the Giants.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Best thing you saw last weekend? Mine's an easy one. We didn't get into the details last night, but we will here in just a second. But I already mentioned it. It's Joe Adell on Saturday night.
mhm.
I can't remember the last time I saw a dude get a Gatorade bath as a defensive player just for playing good defense. So that was mine. What was the best thing from the weekend for you?
I
Or
think the
into
thing
the
is,
early part of this week too, I guess,
yeah,
since it's already
no,
Wednesday.
that's okay. I mean, I think to me, I watched a little bit of the Yankees, and to see that Stanton was healthy is a scary proposition for me. He even had a stolen base. It was his first stolen base in forever. And if Stanton can be healthy in that lineup somewhere around to balance out Judge, that gives that lineup so much more depth. Stanton's just hasn't been healthy as we know the last couple of years, and he just can add so much to that lineup that it's scary to think you have to go Judge and Stanton on a nightly basis. That's a lot.
Yeah, and the emergence of Ben Rice, and
Yes, Ben Rice.
they just there's his name's gonna slip my mind right now. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up a box score because I think they're still playing. Should still be playing. Where are you? Oh, now they're in the top of the eighth against the Athletics.
Mhm.
But I think another move for the Yanks that was kind of not really talked about the way I felt it should have been talked about last year. And of course, he's not in the lineup tonight, which would have made it way easier for me. Obviously, the Ryan McMahon move was fantastic, but the
Mhm.
addition of Jose Caballero, I think, is a move that still hasn't really been given the attention I think it deserves because he's played really well for them too. And I said it the other day, the Yanks off to an 8-2 start, not even fully healthy on their pitching staff, and with Aaron Judge really not in the swing of things yet. That's terrifying, but it's great for baseball.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, you just look at that lineup, like we said, Judge, and then you're going to have a healthy Stanton. Stanton's hitting 350 on the year. In fact, of the starters today, that's the best average of any of them. Like you said, Rice is having a good one. Bellinger hasn't really gotten off to a great start. I mean, that part of the lineup is just, that's just tough to get through.
Yeah, absolutely. Saturday night, and I wasn't. You know me. I don't like doing this. I don't like talking about legacies. I don't like talking about Mount Rushmores. I think they're ridiculous. But when Torrey Hunter says Joe Adell played the best defensive game that he's ever seen in his life, it really made me think, like, is that the best defensive baseball game I have ever seen in my lifetime? And I immediately thought of Brandon Crawford because what he could do with the glove for his entire career was crazy. But obviously, those plays don't get the same attention as robbing 3 home runs, especially when you give us this iconic shot
Right.
on the third one. It doesn't even look real. Like there was a lot of people when that picture came out that were like, "That looks like AI." And I'm like,
Right.
"There's the hard thing about this is there's no real way to quantify. It's not easy to pull up the best single defensive games of all time. I know you can probably think of a few of them for sure, but like we're talking about a dude now, and I think a lot of people forget about this because he hits monster home runs. He has 10 home run robberies since 2020, tied with Kyle Tucker of the Dodgers for the most in the big leagues. The outfielders with the most home run robberies in the entire 2025 season, Jacob Young of the Nats and Fernando Tatis of the Nationals and Padres, respectively. They both only had 4. This dude did it 3 times in one damn game.
Right. And so I mean it's a great feat. But I'm not going to rain on the parade, but I'm going to sprinkle on the parade a little bit. I don't think that robbing a home run is the best play in baseball.
What?
It's not. You know what's the best play in baseball? The best
Oh,
play in
if you talk about great coverage on a sacrifice bunt, I might just bunt you off the screen.
No, 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 no. To me, the best play in baseball is to watch an outfielder make a throw to a base just on a dime and just absolutely like where the third baseman or second baseman doesn't even move. Like the ball just comes to the glove, the guy slides into the glove. I'm not talking about like a routine. I'm talking about like something in a gap. Like remember the old Cespedes play where he threw a guy out, or at home plate on the weird one down in left field.
Yeah.
Something like that. To me, that's the best play in baseball. I mean, catches happen. I mean, and sometimes Adele is freaky athletic. I mean, people we have to remember Joe Adele was considered a top prospect. Still, probably kind of is a little bit. He's starting a few years under his belt, but he was considered to be one of a really good top prospects. So, I mean, he should be doing these things. But I think sometimes, I mean, catches are great. Sometimes it's just freaky athleticism, but being able to throw a ball accurately. You've seen, like Ichiro throwing the ball not in a game, but like from the outfield at home and knocking a ball off a bat. Like to me, that's an amazing skill.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I still think a robbery is more impressive, but I do think that that's
Well,
an under. I would agree that it's an underrated skill, very much so.
I,
As
I
a
mean,
former outfielder myself, it's a very
yeah.
underrated skill.
I mean, it's one of those things. Like again, I mean, I go back to like watching Dwight Evans in right field, and Dwight
Hmm.
Evans was known for his great arm. Like and like I think that's the thing. Like you don't. Or the iconic Dave Parker in the All Star game, tossed to Gary Carter at home plate. I mean, those are the things that I think of like as a baseball play. Like it's amazing.
Kevin Mitchell in
Yeah.
Busch Stadium. I remember that when I was a young, obnoxious loudmouth. Let's look ahead at the schedule. Give me a series that you're kind of interested to watch this weekend.
The series that I went with is the Nationals and the Brewers. The Brewers are off to a good start, kind of better than I think we thought they were going to be. And this is my opportunity. I said I wanted to see about the Nationals. I want to see what these two teams can do. I want to. This is for me. This is my matchup of the weekend.
I'm glad you specified that was your matchup of the weekend because I
I,
don't even think people in Washington think it's the matchup of the weekend for them.
I
That's a
well,
brutal
like
one. Jake Irvin, Chad Patrick. Then you've got Foster Griffin and Brandon Sproat. Go Gators. And then you finish that series up with Zach Littell and Kyle Harrison, a guy that you and I both know very well. I've
yeah.
got a couple this weekend that have kind of my eye. Obviously, the majority of the eye this weekend goes to the Masters, but it's more. All right, I've seen a couple of games. We've seen the rotation flip a couple of times. All right, what are we doing here? Houston, Seattle, always a fun one. The Seattle team can't hit their way out of a wet paper bag right now.
Nope.
Tatsuya Imai and Emerson Hancock from Seattle on Friday night. I'm also kind of interested to see the White Sox and the Royals. Davis Martin, Chris Bubich, my favorite name in baseball, on Friday to start that series. But the Royals, another team I expected big things out of, a little sluggish out of the gates. And then there's Arizona and Philadelphia because neither one of them have played great baseball right now. And obviously, from recent memory, just a couple of years ago when Arizona was able to come back from two down and beat them in Philly, Michael Soroka and Jesus Luzardo will get that one going. Brandon Pfaadt, Ty Walker on Saturday, Zach Gallen and Andrew Painter on Sunday. What else is on your baseball brain before we get to some liquid locks here? Not many
I
times I give you an open forum floor with no
Yeah.
direction. So
A couple of things. The trend in Boston right now is has been because they've been playing so bad. The fans have been chanting sell the team," in reference to John Henry and kind of the acquisitions that he hasn't made. I don't. I mean, I understand it, but I just think it's a little early in the season for that. But I think it's a couple of years of frustration on Red Sox fans. But um, I mean, I still think this team is pretty darn good. I don't, again, fans are fans, but I don't think that's you got to give them a little more time. I think the Red Sox are going to be fine. Other than that, it's to me, the beginning of the season has been about pitching. The pitching has been really, really good so far this season. I'm waiting. we always talk about the weather break. The weather's going to start to break. I look at some of these games like to try to pick, home run hitters and stuff like that. And, you got wind blowing in, cold temperatures. It's just not good hitting weather. So be interested to see what happens when the weather starts to break here in the next couple of weeks.
Sox in St. Louis this weekend, Connolly early, and former Red Sox great Dustin May on Friday. Saturday, you'll have Ranger Suarez and Kyle Leahy. And then on Sunday's series finale, Brian Bello and Andre Palante for the Cardinals. The Cardinals, who are off to a good start so far this year. Let's see if they can keep it up against a struggling Red Sox team. It is Wednesday. Normally we do this on Tuesday, but we're going to do it today. This is going to be like the Mack Power 15 minutes here. We'll get it started. We just talked about baseball. It's time for edition number 2 of Vegas Max Rotation.
I think you're going to like this because, Mike, the thing about the rotation is it comes around, and this is something that's going to come around a couple of times. I want to take a look at the success rate. Which teams have had the best success rate with the ABS early on? We're going to start at number 5. It's the Kansas City Royals. They've been successful 66% of the time. At number 4, the Cincinnati Reds, they're also at 66%. It's because of their batting. We may have remembered that game against the Red Sox. Who was the umpire again? But anyway, that's another story. At number 3, the Baltimore Orioles, 70%. They have the highest team volume of challenges that have been successful. At number 2, it's the Detroit Tigers, 73%. Their catchers haven't missed yet. Their catchers 100% accuracy for the Detroit Tigers. And the number 1 team, success rate, the Arizona Diamondbacks, they have yet to miss a challenge as batters. They are at 75%. So again, we talk about rotation. I think this is going to be something that's going to be in the rotation every couple of weeks.
And I think it's very valuable, too, because when we talked about how ABS would impact some of baseball from a betting standpoint here, and that's to know the teams that know how to really work the system properly and use it to their advantage is going to be valuable information when you're looking at pitcher bets and stuff like that later in the year.
So let me give you a little bit more information. Take a guess. The team that has the worst success rate. Take a guess.
The Giants, because they're terrible at everything.
Yeah, no, it's actually the Guardians, Cleveland Guardians. Some interesting stuff. The team that has the most successful overturns is the Minnesota Twins at 16.
Don't tell Derek Shelton that.
The individual who's the best, 9 of 10 ones, is Logan O'Hoppe of the Angels. And again, the top 3 are all catchers. No surprise there. Mark Viento, 3 for 3 as a batter in his appeal. And here's the other thing that's interesting. Umpires, Chris Siegel, 10 challenges, 7 overturns at 70%. Overturns. So again, I think that's something we're going to have to come back to every couple of weeks and kind of check in on.
Logan O'Hammered got another one today. It was about the only positive sign in that game for the Halos. All right, well, now that you've caught your breath there, speak again, because it is Ticket Wednesday. I know you've got some gems. Obviously, it's a little more thin to find stuff without you going way off the reservation, which we don't want you to do that. So, what do you got for me on this Ticket Wednesday? Blow the dust out of your wallet.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, this is a pretty good one. How about Friday? We go watch Miami at Detroit. I think that's a great matchup. $7. That one's pretty good. That one they can definitely. If we do that one, I don't know. We have to find out if Detroit has any sort of weird food there. Maybe we can buy some of the weird food. Going to the NBA, not a whole lot going on. Memphis at Utah, $11. I don't know if we want to spend that. But I went to the high side. I know this is not going to shock you. The highest ticket, $300. Boston Celtics at New York Knicks. Ooh.
I wonder why.
Yeah, wonder why. Again, the NHL's heating up. You're not going to find a whole lot of cheap tickets. Pittsburgh at New Jersey, $14. The other 2 high ones, Tampa Bay Thursday night hosting, Tampa Bay at Montreal, 206. Columbus, or Colorado, I should say, at Montreal on Saturday, hockey night in Canada, $222. So not a whole lot there. So I had to go and dig a little bit more, and I did. I found a pretty good deal. How about this? 5 tickets for $25. Five for 25 plus free ice cream.
It sounds like what Arby's roast beefs are now. They used to
There
be
you
five
go.
for five, now
Where,
5 for 25.
where would we have to go? We'd have to go to Midland, Texas, the Midland Rockhounds, the AA affiliate of the Athletics minor league baseball. 5 for 25, dude. You can't beat that.
That's solid.
And free ice cream.
I wonder how many people caught the 5 for 25 and did the math on Arby's there. Now I want
There you go.
Arby's. We got to stop talking about friggin' food on this show, man. That's 2 days in a row, dude.
Segment.
I was so damn hungry when we got done last night. Like, I got to rethink that next year for the Masters. All right, let's get into some liquid locks. I'll give you a little chance to catch your breath there. Sharks back in action tomorrow night at the Pond in Anaheim. Rematch from a game from just a week ago that the Sharks won in the final minute, 44 seconds. Sharks in action here in about 15 minutes against the Oilers. Watch what time this show ends tonight, conveniently. And they're going to be making what is a short trip, but, you know, I think the fact that they're a young team definitely helps them. I think the fact that they have two good goaltenders that they can rely on in these type of situations. I'm not going to go as far as taking them on what I believe as dogs on the money line will be tomorrow. I will play the game over. What I'm anticipating is going to be 6.5 on the goal total there, because every time it seems like the Sharks and Ducks play, goaltending is pretty optional, which makes a lot of sense with the amount of offensive talent that's on the ice. So I'm going to play Ducks and Sharks from the Pond tomorrow night over 6.5. And then I'm going to go to baseball, and I am going to take the Padres at home at Petco tomorrow against the Rockies, who right now are playing good baseball. They're 6-6. But Randy Vasquez on the bump for the Padres tomorrow, so I'll lay a 1.5 there. Sharks and Ducks tomorrow night over 6.5. Those are my two liquid locks. For mañana, what you got? And then we'll talk about how you and I are 0-2 in crossing streams today, and I'm still going to blame you for screwing it up earliest.
Yeah, no, I'll take it. I'm going to the Masters, round one.
Friends.
Yeah. You can. I mean, I know you know this. You can pick a winner of a group, and I found a good group. The group is Hideki Matsuyama, Bobby Mack, Brooks Koepka, Chris Gotterup, and Justin Rose. I'm taking Justin Rose at a plus 345 to win that group tomorrow.
That's interesting.
Right? Well, and it's kind of funny because you said you liked him as your first round leader, and so
I do.
that kind of plays into what I'm going with. So something a little bit different. I thought that was kind of good.
Yeah, I know. I do like that. Two other golf plays that I did play. Number one, Hideki Matsuyama for a top 10. Always plays well at Augusta. Yes. I thought plus 230 was a little higher than it should have been for that. And then in addition to playing Justin Rose as the outright leader after the first round, I am going to play him top 5 in the first round as well, because we know Rosie at majors, and we know Rosie especially on Thursday at Augusta. Those are usually pretty solid bets there. And we know Rose was knocking at the door. So I wonder, he's another guy this year, like you mentioned, Tyrrell Hatton and everything. And I'm like, I wonder if this is the year, because if you follow kind of the Nicholas path there,
right,
kind of similar to when we had the breakthrough back then. So I think there's some other guys. Golf Lundgren's getting a lot of attention. I don't think it's a bad thing for Oberg. He's been playing better. Just kind of at the point with Ludwig where you've got a cool nickname that we've made for you across Twitter in Golf Lundgren, but I need to see you actually start winning some tournaments. Otherwise, to use one of T's line, he's going to kind of start to remind me of the Anna Kournikova of golf at that point. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely. I got another
figure
one.
Out what you want out of that.
I've got another one for you tomorrow.
All right.
And I wanted to go with the baseball. The baseball ones are so hard. I love the pitching, the under and over. I'm addicted to that. I'll be honest with you on that. But I'm going basketball tomorrow. Uh, Tomorrow the Celtics are going to Madison Square Garden. Play the Knicks. We told you, $300, best ticket you can find. This is the first game back at the Garden for Jason Tatum since his injury. I'm going to play Jason Tatum for a double-double tomorrow.
Not a bad bet. Because even a bad Jason Tatum game is usually 10 and 10. So,
yeah, I just think,
or 10 and 8 in a worst case scenario. And
right.
The Knicks guards are terrible rebounders too.
And I just think that he's going to want to put on a show tomorrow, being that first game back at MSG where he got hurt. So anyway, so I got Tatum for the double-double.
I saw somebody put down today his comments, and he basically said exactly what you'd expect him to say. It's just another game. Right now, NBA action just underway. Of note, Portland is up 8-7 on San Antonio, who's playing tonight without Stephon Castle and without Victor Wembanyama. Tomorrow, lunchtime live, 11:30, and that is our go-home show for the week. We'll have Friday lunchtime live back next week. In the process of watching the Masters, we're going to completely move the studio to a different place in the house. So, yeah, that's going to be what's also coinciding with my Masters weekend. What's not going to be coinciding with my Masters weekend is pimento cheese sandwiches. No, not doing it. Any final words from you?
I want to give you my dinger pick for Friday.
No, not now. Too early.
Come on.
Early.
I got it. It's my last show.
You're gonna jinx it. Nope, you're gonna jinx it.
All right.
You say it too early, and then I'm gonna go to make the bet right before the show starts, or before I would normally start the show, and then he's not gonna be in the lineup. You're 2 days out. No.
Yeah, but
you still haven't friggin' told us who the best pitcher on the Pirates is supposed to be. Can't tease something for weeks on end and not deliver.
Here it is. I think this year the guy who's going to have, I'm not saying he's going to have the best year this year, Mitch Keller.
See, we guessed that 2 weeks ago. You left us in suspense for absolutely nothing. That's like coming out and saying, you know what? Scotty Scheffler's my long shot this week at the Masters. For everybody behind the scenes, for TJ, for Vegas Mack, I'm Mike. We'll talk with you tomorrow. Follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show. Mike versus Mack coming up in about 10 minutes. Till tomorrow. You know the drill. We're out.